Meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day, Rush Limbaugh and the EIB network and the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, telephone number 800-282-2882. Email address lrushbo@eibnet.com. Well, now, this is somewhat interesting. National Journal here has a story on the Republican primary field, and they get it right, and they're confused. It confuses them. They're trying to figure out what does it mean. And let me explain. The writer of the story, Josh Kreschauer, and the headline: Marco Rubio's biggest problem is not Jeb Bush. The drive-bys, the conventional wisdom is that since Rubio got in a race, since he and Jeb are both basically Floridians in a political sense, that they're going to be going for the same money, that they're going to be seeking the same voters, that they're competing with each other in addition to the field. And the National Journal says, you know what, that isn't quite right. The drive-bys have not got this analyzed correctly. They conclude that Marco Rubio's biggest problem is Scott Walker. But, and the reason they say so is that, I don't know quite how to say this without sounding like a braggadocious oaf, and I'm not trying to, but they're confused here because they correctly point out that I have championed both Walker and Marco Rubio. And they don't know how to analyze that. That's pretty much it, right? I mean, they don't know what that's going to ultimately mean. You know, normally they think a media guy like me would pick somebody and go with it. But, you know, I just go day to day. And if a candidate says something that I think is praiseworthy, I say it. If it's Rubio today and Walker tomorrow and Ted Cruz the next day, then I say that. The drive-bys hear that as confusion. Oh, my God. I mean, Limbaugh's touting all these guys, which scares them. Because it widens the area occupied by the enemy that they have to defend or attack here, and it's so they're kind of figure out how does this all jibe with the conventional wisdom. Meanwhile, Jeb Bush is out there talking, and one of the things that Jeb Bush says. What do you think he said the best thing Obama has done? There seems to be a need on the part of some in the Republican Party to constantly praise the opposition. This need to praise the opposition, I guess, to show that we're not racist, and I guess to show that we can be bipartisan, that we can be cooperative. That the Democrats are not our enemy. It's perfectly fine that we are their enemy, but it can't work that they are ours. And so we feel this compunction to go out and say praiseworthy things about the opposition. And Jeb, this is an establishment way of thinking, and Jeb's right in there. I'll tell you what, he said the best thing, the most laudatory thing, the best thing Obama's done as president is maintain the NSA level of spying, particularly the metadata, the mining of the metadata on phone calls all over the country. Jeb says that has been very wise, as a very smart thing that Obama has done. And it's indeed praiseworthy. Now we come over here. Grab audio soundbite number 10. We all know our old buddy here, Luis Gutierrez. I'll tell you where I first became acquainted with Luis Gutierrez. Shortly after he's elected to Congress, he's from Illinois. Shortly after, he did a piece on 60 Minutes in which he confirmed a previously stated theory of mine that I'd been mentioned many times here on the air, and that is, and it's true, it's really no great mystery or conspiracy, but what happens with all the freshmen in both parties is the leadership brings them in there. And they're given the lay of the land. And the leadership says, in this case to Gutierrez, okay, you're new here. You want to become big in this party? You want to become an important member of the House in the Democrat caucus? You want a plum committee assignment, maybe a chairmanship? Yeah, of course, CC, yes, I do. Well, then here's what you have to do. Whatever we tell you to do, you do it. We want you to vote a certain way, you do it. If it makes it look like it's not in your district's best interest, bite the bullet and vote the way we say. We'll take care of you at re-election. We'll make sure you get money. Don't sweat it. But if you don't do that, you can say goodbye to this place in 2 years. We'll go out there in Illinois. We'll find somebody to run against you that'll take your place, that'll do what we want. Well, Gutierrez went on 60 Minutes and admitted this. It had long been assumed by everybody, but he actually admitted it. This led me to extend an invitation to him to be interviewed in the most widely read political newsletter in America, the Limbaugh letter, and he agreed. And a couple of days, maybe the day before, he pulled out. Because I was on the air talking about it coming up. I'm sure somebody in the Democrat leadership. When would this have been? Was it Tom Foley days? It would have been after the Fort Worthless Jim days, Jim writes. How many Tom Foley when this all went? Anyway, since then, Gutierrez has abandoned all critical talk of the Democrats, and he has become their point man on Obamacare, on Obama's executive amnesty. Luis Gutierrez is the voice in the House that is supporting Obama and setting things up and going on television and encouraging all of this, criticizing Republicans. So in Chicago, yesterday at the University of Chicago's Institute of Politics, Representative Luis Gutierrez spoke, and during the Q&A, an audience member said, look, if you're going to see one of these Republicans contenders win, who do you think on the issue of immigration would you be able to work with best in trying to forge some sort of bipartisan consensus on comprehensive immigration reform?
We'd have to stay with the Bush family. The first Bush, the second actually, 2000 to 2008. He tried. He tried twice, 2006 and then 2007.
And he's talking about W there. So he's saying, well, obviously we got to stay with the Bush family. We got to stay with the Bush family on immigration. I mean, George W. Bush, and he's right, tried twice for comprehensive immigration reform, and he's convinced that Jeb would continue the Bush family tradition in that regard. So I just getting it out there, what's happening, folks. I'm not stating an opinion of it. Don't need to. Just telling you what's happening. Jeb praising Obama's maintaining the NSA spying program, and Luis Gutierrez saying, "Hey, if Jeb wins on the issue we care most about, we can work with him." Yesterday on a radio program, Jeb Bush appeared, and he was asked the following question. If you were elected president, would you undo President Obama's executive orders on immigration?
The DACA and DAPA, yes, I would. It's possible that by the time the next president arrives, the courts will have overturned those. I think the better answer is to fix the immigration problem, is to solve it the regular order way, which is to go to Congress, have a proposal, work on a bipartisan fashion to fix a broken immigration system. We could control the border. We could narrow family petitioning and expand economic immigrants. And it would be a catalyst for high sustained economic growth, which this country desperately needs.
So what he would do, he would undo Obama's the DACA and the DAPA. The DACA is the dream thing, dreamers for the most part, and then replace them with immigration reform, which would lead to an expansion of economic immigrants. So that's what Jeb is saying about that.